It's time for Screen Junkies Movie Fights.
What the? Hey! Welcome to Movie Fights Live, everybody.
What an intro.
We're doing it. Just want to give a shout out to hashtag Owl Nation. Hoot, hoot. Percival the Owl in the house. You guys, we've got an exciting movie fights for you. We've got 3 formidable competitors. Let's meet them. First off, he's always running the board, running the booth, pressing the buttons, making things go. He's come out from behind the curtain, and now he's here. JTE, host of JTE Movie Thinks.
Thank you very much for the plug.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm back. I had an accident, if you can see a chipped tooth, but I'm going to use this jagged tooth to go for a jugular. I'm going for the gold here, buddy.
Whoa.
You're going to bite? You're going to bite us?
I am going for the jugular.
Oh my
I'm going to use
God.
this little jagged tooth and just dig into you with my movie knowledge.
Can I resign from? I don't want that to happen.
I win.
I thought we were going to fight about movies.
If you
There's
resign-
no resigning in movie fights.
I'll say I won.
Good luck defending yourself against JT's new jagged tooth.
Terrifying.
Our second player, you know him as the Professor from the Schmodown and all over the internet.
All over it.
Welcome to Movie Fights, Lon Harris.
Thank you so much.
Also a pillar of Owl Nation.
One of the a co-founder.
A co-founder of Owl
Yeah.
Nation, absolutely. You are, you're like a rear admiral.
Yeah, you're our fearless leader. I'm like the sergeant at arms.
Hell yeah.
I don't know what that does. But
Thank you for being a hooligan.
anytime, every time.
And last but not least, you know him from Hyper RPG, and he's a good friend of the show, Cameron Rice.
Hello, thank you for having me back.
Happy New Year, everybody. I should have said that right off the bat. Cameron, did you have a good New Year?
Pretty good.
We're shooting this in December. This is a re-air.
Still alive.
Yes.
Cameron, what do you think was the most exciting thing to happen on the week between Christmas and New Year's this year?
Oh, the sun bleeding.
The sun bleeding was bad.
Oh, yeah, there was-
JT bit it with his jagged tooth.
Yep.
That's what the JT stands for, jagged tooth.
Yes.
There was an epic solar mishap that will be in the news.
It's a real Ghostbuster situation.
So you guys are doing battle and deciding this fight. We have judges, we have fact checkers. Max Rad.
Yes.
Max. In the fact checker chair,
ready to fight.
we have producer Max Dion. How's it going, brother?
It's going great. I'm still recovering from that sun tear.
Oh yes, that epic solar
I
tear
have glasses now, so
that we all remember happening.
yeah, it was rough.
And Danielle Radford. Danielle, Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year! As you all we know, this is not actually taped live, but please do keep contributing all of your alternate answers and stories on the Movie Fights Live hashtag. We love going through those and reading them. So yay! And hopefully none of us died in the next 2 weeks.
That makes this so awkward.
Fingers crossed for not airing someone's posthumous movie fights appearance.
Watch me be the one who dies.
Oh, God forbid. Don't let it be Danielle. Danielle, so there are no polls. There is no user poll this week. Danielle will be deciding her own thoughts and opinions on each battle.
I will. And Max was not prepared to be giving his own opinions today.
Yeah, I'm not used to giving opinions on things, so we'll see how this goes. I don't really have a lot of opinions.
You know what? Just follow your heart, my good
Okay.
man. Just follow your heart or your mind. There's more than one right way.
My
to do
question
it.
is, if JT kills somebody, then can a dead person argue back? How does that work?
That's part of my strategy.
No, but here's the thing. If he kills them after they had already delivered just such a great argument, you could still give a dead person the point.
Got it. Okay, good
But
to know.
I don't know how well that dead person will fare in the speed round.
Sudden death.
Sudden death.
It's no good.
So again, how this game works. First person to 4 points wins. There are 3 regular round questions, then the 2 top scorers will continue on to the speed round, where it's anybody's ball game. Someone can be down 3-0 and make a furious comeback to take it 4-3. Who the heck knows? All I know is Billy dropped that sick-ass package.
Prepare to die.
Ladies and gentlemen,
It's main event time.
Thank you, Thor. All right, question number 1. Ooh, it's 2019.
Right now.
A lot of movies coming out in 2019. We're asking a really hard question. I don't know if there's any way to get this right, but they're going to give their best guesses. What will be the best movie of 2019? How about it? Let's start with player number 1, JTE.
It's a tough question. There's a lot of good movies coming out. The movies you guys have chosen, I am definitely looking forward to. But I'm going to go with Avengers Endgame. To me, this is the return of the king of the Marvel Universe. That movie was awarded the Best Picture because it was the culmination of this long story that started off with Fellowship of the Rings and Two Towers. For me, Endgame is literally that. It's an endgame. I feel like Marvel is putting all their chips in. There's going to be some real losses. This ain't going to be the snap, and some people are just going to be able to come back, some phantom zone. I really feel like we're going to lose some people. There's going to be some heartfelt moments, some touching moments. This will probably be the first Marvel film where I just bawl. I almost bawled when Iron Man died, and I almost bawled when Spider-Man died. I know a lot of people did. But I kept it together. But this one is going to be it. It's going to have the emotional punch that I think some of the other films didn't quite have. And for me, it's going to be the best movie of the year.
I cried during Ant-Man.
What part? I'm thinking.
You have to double tap
I did.
while it's all the way up. That's how it locks.
He's
try it.
recreating our favorite scenes from Ant-Man.
Yes.
The ones that made people cry.
Unlike my argument, I'm not falling. All right.
I'm moving down that remark stricken.
Yes, you know what? I was going to go into a whole bit why I cried during Ant-Man, but I'm going to skip it now because of the whole chair debacle. You can message me at Hal Rudnick if you want to hear my whole Ant-Man bit. JTE, thank you for coming in with Avengers Endgame. Lon, what you got?
I'm picking a little movie. Netflix is releasing it sometime next year. It's called The Irishman. Now, this movie is the new one from Martin Scorsese. So already, a new Scorsese movie. It's an event. They don't happen every year. He's selective about what projects he makes. Already, this would be exciting. But this movie re-teams Scorsese with Robert De Niro, Harvey Keitel, and Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci retired from acting. He came back to acting to be in this movie. It also, as you saw from that screenshot they just put up, this is going to be Scorsese's very first time working with Al Pacino, the legendary Al Pacino. If you were just saying Scorsese and Al Pacino are going to get together and make a new movie this year, already it would be a must-see for almost everybody. But there's more. This is a long-time passion project for Scorsese. He's been trying to get this movie made for many years, and it's finally coming together. This is the biggest budget of Martin Scorsese's career, $175 million in this movie. It's based on a true crime story. Other famous true crime movies made by Scorsese include Goodfellas, Casino, The Departed, The Wolf on Wall Street, pretty good pedigree, and it was shot by Scorsese's frequent collaborator, Rodrigo Prieto. He also shot Amores Perros, Brokeback Mountain, and Silence for Scorsese, which was an amazing-looking film a few years ago. This movie has a lot going for it. Also, I'll end on this. Did you guys know that this movie features Jim Norton playing young Don Rickles? That's perfect casting. If that's an example of the kind of fun that we're going to have watching The Irishman, I'm totally in.
All right, Lon with Scorsese's The Irishman. Cameron.
All right, I'm going with another director who doesn't do a lot of movies, is pretty selective. In fact, this is his 9th of what he says is going to be 10 films, and then he's done. I'm going with Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, there it is, and Brad Pitt as the leads. This would be him reuniting with DiCaprio after Django Unchained and with Brad Pitt after Inglourious Bastards, two of his more recent movies. This movie also has Al Pacino in it as well as Bruce Dern, Margot Robbie, and Luke Perry. Luke Perry.
Michael Madsen,
and Kurt Russell. There's a lot of the Quentin Tarantino players in here. He's been filming it around the area. I think they just actually wrapped last month. And it's Tarantino, so you know it's going to be authentic. And the fact that he is returning to a more modern time than his last couple movies has me excited. He hasn't done something in it's the 70s, but or 60s and 70s, but he hasn't done something in this era really since Jackie Brown. So it's been about 20 plus years since he's done a more modern film. So I think there's a lot going for this movie. I'm very excited about it, and I can't wait to say why it's going to be the best compared to these two.
Ooh.
3 films that I am genuinely excited for all 3 of them. So I want to hear you guys fight it out.
First, I gotta attack Irishman. The problem with that movie is there's so much there's so much you gotta rely on technology. Most of this movie is gonna be them de-aged. I don't think we're at that point where I can watch a movie. Yes, it gets close with Marvel. My Marvel Studios is the best at it, but still, you're still watching that movie and you're like, oh yeah, they're using de-aging effects there.
Tons of movies use de-aging effects all the time now. Most of the time, you don't even notice.
But it's for like a popcorn film or something that's fun. To remake this movie.
This movie's a crime movie with De Niro. It's going to be fun.
This is Scorsese. It's going to be...
all those movies I listed, Goodfellas,
yeah.
super fun. Casino, totally fun. Wolf of Wall Street's practically a comedy.
For me, the performances are the best thing about some of those movies. And when I'm watching Al Pacino de-age and De Niro...
So you don't think Andy Serkis is a good actor and those aren't good performances as Gollum and in the Planet of the Apes movies?
Motion capture, this is de-aging. You're taking an older actor and making them look younger.
But you're not changing the performance. You're just digitally tweaking.
I think
every movie you watch, there's digital tweaking that you're not even noticing that's happening. It's not like it cheapens the movie.
I have yet to see a movie where someone is acting with a de-aged makeup or I didn't at
literally
one point stop
every
and
frame of every movie that you watch is digitally retouched. All those images are digitally retouched already.
There's a difference between digitally retouched and making somebody look 30 years
There's
younger.
Not anymore. There really isn't that huge of a difference. The kinds of manipulating that you're doing on a regular movie and then using it to sort of slightly make Michelle Pfeiffer look a few years younger, it's not that different anymore.
I watched movies
it's
like
all
Silence.
The same tech.
I don't want to have to work. I want to concentrate on the performance and actually see what the actor is doing.
But of course,
I don't want to stop there every few seconds and
be
be like, they're really pulling off this effect. Oh yeah.
Well, now you're just critiquing your own style of watching movies. And while we're doing that, I'd like to continue critiquing your style of watching movies. You started out by saying that, the Lord of the Rings culminated Return of the King. It's not even the best movie in that trilogy. The first movie is the best movie in that trilogy. Return of the King is the one that gets hit 8 times. It ends like 18 times and everybody complains about.
I know a lot of people would think Return of the King is the best of the series.
Well, but I'm saying it's not definitively the best of the series by any measure. They're all good. It's not like that. It's not like that series is boring until you get to Return of the King.
We're really parsing an opinion here that has nothing to do with Avengers Endgame.
I'm saying it proves the exact point. He was saying that Avengers Endgame is going to be good because we've waited through all these mediocre Marvel movies that lack stakes or whatever JT was saying, leading into this one. And I'm saying that his own example of a franchise that built up to an amazing conclusion was amazing the whole way through, just like the MCU has been. So my point really is that this is just another Marvel movie where it's not the culmination. We got the culmination. And if you think about
what was the culmination?
The culmination is the snap. Now we're just getting the resolution and the leading into the next phase of Marvel movies. This is the transition movie where they
end the show, the guy falling off the cliff.
Think about it. Every TV season that you love, what's the best episode? The best episode is always the episode before. Stop interrupting me with jackass nonsense. The best episode of a TV season is the second one before the conclusion. That's when the shocking stuff happens. The finale is just let's resolve this and then segue into the next season. That's what Avengers Endgame is going to be.
I will say, if there is a concern about the de-aging makeup, I believe there have been some on-set photos of there possibly that Endgame might be a bit time travel-y. There might be some de-aging.
Of course.
De-aging. So if you're knocking his,
I
might have to knock yours a little bit.
Led into by Captain Marvel, in which Samuel L. Jackson's de-aged the whole movie.
But my movie's not relying on it. I mean, there's so many characters.
If it's a time travel movie, it might be relying on it.
I'm sure a small part of it is, but your movie is heavily relying.
You don't know how heavily. You're guessing at that, just like we're guessing about Endgame. You don't know.
I will say my concern about the de-aging wouldn't bother me. My concern about it is which company is Netflix hiring? Are they hiring the company that does Marvel, which I believe Weta does the de-aging on that, or are they hiring Lucasfilm, where you're going to get Tarkin?
But I mean, have you seen it? Do we know?
I have not.
So
it's a concern. It's a concern.
It's a concern.
It's going to be great. It's Scorsese. You think Martin Scorsese is going to be like, oh, this technology looks horrible. It's ruining my actors' performances. Let's put it in the movie. I have $175 million. I'm Martin Scorsese. I have no authority here. Let's put whatever garbage they send me into the movie, and it'll ruin Joe Pesci's final film performance. I don't care. I'm Martin Scorsese.
I would like to say definitively, once and for all, we've exhausted the de-aging topic. You will now lose points if you mention de-aging again, other than in your final wrap up.
Can we move on to Once a Time in Hollywood? Because I do have some things I'd like to say about that. First of all, Cameron says you can always count on Quentin Tarantino because you know the movie is going to be authentic. That's the opposite of what he's doing. The point is that they're not authentic. He's
I didn't say that. Did I say that?
You did. I wrote it down. I wrote down the word authentic out of thin air. No. Come on.
I don't think I said. Well, if I did
You
say
did. You said you know that the movie's going to be authentic because it's Tarantino, and like, no, that's the opposite of what it's going to be.
Well,
but here's what
I don't
really
recall saying that, but if I did,
Bailey, can we play back the tape?
I guess what I would say, what I meant by authentic is more using actual 70s cars and that having a feel to it, shooting it on film. I don't mean the
Pretty sure
world.
The Irishman is going to be period authentic
Sure,
as well.
but my point is not about it being like, and I wasn't knocking the Irishman for a lack of authenticity, and I'm not talking about the authenticity of the actual things that happen in the world, because obviously in Inglourious Basterds, Hitler didn't die that way.
Right. That's
So
the
obviously
whole point of
Tarantino's
these.
going to play with stuff, and that's what makes Tarantino movies really exciting. That they rarely happen. When they happen, there's always something about them. There's a buzz about them. Now, Hateful Eight. The big buzz was about the presentation of that movie. However, we did get a really great Samuel L. Jackson performance. Kurt Russell had a killer mustache. It was the return of Kurt Russell in a big bad way. He'd already been doing a couple movies up to that point, but that was the year of Kurt Russell with that and Bone Tomahawk, and then Guardians led into Guardians 2. Quentin Tarantino is a guy who anytime he makes a movie, it becomes an event. I love Martin Scorsese. Silence should have been an event.
Yeah.
It wasn't an event. It wasn't. And I hate saying that.
But it's brilliant.
It was brilliant. It was a brilliant movie.
Well, the question is, what will be the best movie of 2019? Not what will make the biggest splash on Twitter.
No, fair enough. But
I don't know how relevant that is.
But my point is that Tarantino, the last couple movies, if we look, Hateful Eight, I believe, was nominated for Best Screenplay.
It was very buzzy because a lot of people were shocked at how bad it was.
No, but Django, Inglourious Basterds nominated for Best Screenplay, Best Picture. Every time Tarantino comes out with a movie, it's not just critically acclaimed and not just awards acclaimed. People seem to love it. It usually makes a lot of people's top 10s of the year.
Here's the thing I'd like to bring up with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's a complicated, layered story. It's largely about gender. It's about Hollywood.
Yes.
It's about the filmmaking industry. Is Quentin Tarantino the right guy? And I love Quentin Tarantino movies, but is he the right guy to tell a story about gender in Hollywood? I mean, he had sort of Me Too incidents. He worked for Harvey Weinstein. There's almost no women cast in this movie. Like, it just seems like an awkward fit to have QT be the guy that's let's head-on tackle 70s Hollywood gender roles in filmmaking.
I don't know if he was the guy who should have been tackling the death of Hitler not being Jewish, but that was a damn good movie.
But that's a lot. I mean, obviously, we're not still talking today about, the relevant issues of Nazism
We
in
kind of
Germany.
are, which is scary and sad.
You know what I mean?
Schindler's List just came out 2 weeks
things
ago, and Spielberg was like, it needs to.
Roman Polanski remains a controversial figure on social media today.
Yes.
Today.
Yes.
He's alive, and it's
100%.
still ongoing. And that's not the case with Inglourious Basterds or Django.
Well, I would say what you just said about
is
we're not
safely removed.
we're not talking about the most buzzed about movies, but we're also not talking about the most woke movies of next year.
And this has nothing to do with being woke. It's like, this is a movie about Sharon Tate being murdered and the opinion of the guy who lives next door to her, who's like a Western actor. It's so dug into this topic. That's what the movie's about.
It's possible that, like the killing of Hitler and Django burning down that house, this could be another Tarantino revenge picture where Sharon Tate kills the fuck out of Charlie Manson. Possibly.
We'll find out. Let's move to final
is that even
thoughts. We're moving to,
Art's not meant to be appropriate.
we're moving to final thoughts. JT.
When it comes down to it, I think Marvel has become this well-oiled machine that just knows what the audience wants and knows what its fans want. And I think with Endgame, they've taken their time. I mean, it's been a year, but they shot both at the same time.
Yes.
I just feel like it is the safest bet to be the most satisfactory movie of next year. The problem I see with your guys' two movies, Tarantino.
I think you said satisfactory.
The most satisfactory.
Instead of satisfying is probably what you meant.
Oh yeah, satisfactory. Satisfying.
No, satisfactory means like that was okay.
I think it'd be both, Ron. I think it'd be
It was
both.
a pretty good sandwich.
What will be the most pretty good movie of 2019?
The most passable effort.
Yes.
You sold me.
2018 goes to.
But to
Didn't
me,
hate, wasn't great.
Okay, final
But
thoughts.
to me, that is the worst it's going to do. The problem is when you got Scorsese making a dream project like this and not really having any restraints, basically, here's all the money you want. Same thing with Tarantino. Here's a blank check. Go make your movie. That's when movies like Heaven Gates get made and movies like Gangs in New York.
Gangs in New York is brilliant.
Well, in your opinion, but overall, it's not really seen that way. Gangs in New York also is a movie that hasn't really aged well with time, and that was a dream project of his. Spielberg even had these problems where he's made dream projects and they just haven't quite lived up to it. So for me, I see an option for both your guys' movies to fail big because they're taking big swings and they have no restraints. Marvel is produced to be a great movie. Every producer that works in that studio is literally going to be like, we need to check off every box to make sure that this movie is a hit and that people love it. Your guys' movies are going to make big chances, but also has a chance to have big failures.
Lon.
That's the most passionate and emotional plea for corporatized bullshit boardroom studio collaborative filmmaking I've ever heard. Don't trust the great artists. Don't give the great artists lots of money and funding. Instead, turn it over to this group of 35 suits. They're gonna guarantee that you're gonna.
Marvel's shown it.
You said
Final thoughts.
You used the word satisfactory in error, but I think that's actually what you meant. Like, what your process is a way to guarantee that a movie is like above average. Like, okay, I enjoyed that. The corporation got together and collaborated to make sure it wasn't something I hated. But there's no chance that a movie made the way that you've described it is going to be brilliant, visionary art that's going to break the mold. Like, that's what makes the standouts among the Marvel movies so good. Is not that they towed the line exactly, but that they broke away from the formula and did something different. I think the big thing about Endgame is there really aren't a ton of surprises left. This is going to answer the questions that have already been posed by the other movies. We needed to transition to the future of the MCU, but this isn't the movie that's going to be the most amazing, epic, exciting. We just saw that one. Infinity War was clearly the big epic event. This is the resolution. To talk about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Tarantino's movies, they're super fun, but so much of the thrill of it is sort of cheering for the bad guy, the sort of anti-hero outlaw character. And we're taking a scenario now where we're looking at a real crime that had long-term, tragic, devastating effects for a number of people who are still alive. It's dealing with all kinds of issues that are really emotional for people in the present day. I'm just not sure it's the best spot for Tarantino to do what he does, his kind of campy, shticky, high concept reinvention of the genre. Like, I enjoy those movies. I'm not sure this is like exactly the right pick for him. And The Irishman, we got all hung up on like the technology that he's going to use, but it's Martin Scorsese. He wouldn't use the technology. He's waited this long to make this movie because now he can use the technology that exists to make the movie he's always wanted to make. I think there's so much going for this movie. I don't know how you couldn't pick it as the most eagerly anticipated movie of 2018.
Thank you, Lon. Cameron.
Well, I'm not saying anything you're saying about the Tarantino points are untrue. At the same time, I think sometimes art is about swinging for the fences, and sometimes if you connect hard, you connect and you hit a home run. And as far as I'm concerned, at worst, Tarantino has hit a triple. And if that's the worst you can do, you still made a pretty damn good movie. The thing about Avengers is, at the end of the day, part one of what is supposed to be the best movie of next year came out this year, and it wasn't even the best Marvel movie that came out this year. Black Panther was. As far as The Irishman goes, the big question mark on that truly is Netflix. Netflix simultaneously, as a studio that not buying a movie that's already been made, but as far as making the movie from the ground up, it has mostly been in the film department fairly miss, whereas in the TV department, pretty hit. Now, obviously, there's going to be some examples. Their documentaries are great, but as far as their narrative straight films that they have built from the ground up, which this is, it's been pretty rough going. Just ask Jody Hill or a number of the other people who released Netflix movies this year that people didn't even know came out.
Good point.
Time. All right, there you have it. Woo! Okay. I learned more about the de-aging process than I ever cared to. Max, facts.
Not a ton of facts to check.
Hey, Max, you got
here.
the facts?
I got the facts.
Max with the facts.
Max with the facts.
Not a ton of facts to check here. A lot of opinions.
I think that's dumb.
Cameron did say authentic.
Thank you.
JT did cry during Infinity War. Don't ask me how I know that.
What part? JT, what part?
What I thought Cap was going to do.
Okay, fair enough.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood takes place during the Charles Manson murders, but it's about a TV actor and his stunt double.
He's the next door neighbor to Sharon Tate. We do know that.
Yeah, Margot Robbie's playing Sharon Tate.
Right.
Well-
DiCaprio's character lives next door to the Tates.
And yeah, that's kind of all there was to check there. Pretty clean round.
Cool.
All right.
Opinions.
Gangs in New York is great. I'll add that as a fact.
Okay. Again, this is all subjective. So there were some strong arguments here, and also I feel like there was some real parsing over minutia. We got so in the weeds that it was a little bit like infuriating that round. Like we were talking about such small scale. Like we spent so much time on small things that I don't feel like we spent enough time on what excites us about these movies, what's getting us really looking forward to these movies. So, going by the arguments I heard, it's a combination. I mean, it is subjective. What is the best movie? like, we don't know. This is your opinion, obviously. And I felt like we spent a lot of time dinging each other. Cameron got dinged over some of Tarantino's choices in the subject matter. Lon, we got dinged on this passion project here. I don't feel like JTE got hit as hard, and he laid out a strong argument as to why this movie is going to be the best to him. And for that reason, yeah, I'm going JTE with Avengers Endgame, even though it might not be my personal choice. I feel like that's the one that got the least, took the least damage. Danielle.
I have to disagree, if only because something that you mentioned, which I agree, is that I wanted to hear more just enthusiasm about why this movie is going to work. And I feel like someone who came with not just a strong passion for why this is going to be the best movie, but also backed it up with just a fantastic amount of real facts, was Lon. So I've got to go with Lon in this round.
That's one for Lon. Max.
I actually, you know what? I heard the most from Lon as well, and I heard it the loudest.
No argue that.
How dare you?
No argue that.
How
But I did.
dare you?
I feel like Lon had the most concrete facts. I feel like JTE really just at the end there with the satisfactory comment let a. I
Once
feel like
again,
that was like
grammar
a
is my
Freudian
enemy.
slip a little bit and took him out. And I just heard a little bit more from Lon than from Cameron, and both of those movies are sort of similar, director-driven, but I just heard a little bit more from Lon.
Lon,
Wow.
you get the point.
Hey, I think these are my three most anticipated movies of the year.
Yeah.
Like we nailed it. 1, 2, 3.
I could have fought any of these.
Yeah,
and
I
would've been
think we
happy.
got the top 3.
I mean, I am crazily looking forward to all three of those movies.
Us would have maybe been the like sneak in at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple
All
other
right.
films, yeah.
So, going into round 2, Lon 1, Cameron, JTE looking to get on the board. And, whoa, stop the presses. Hoot, hoot, it's a blind fight.
Oh no.
Love blind fights.
Okay, so first, you're going to pick a movie. You're going to pick a movie out of the hat. Keep it a secret. Keep it a secret.
I got one or two here.
Just
yeah,
one.
I got 2. Hold on.
Okay, it's because they are on sticky notes, but I'm not going to say anything about
decision
the
was
fact they are on sticky notes. Okay, now keep your answer a secret. Here's the question, and then we'll go around and hear your answer. Which 2019 event movie can you skip seeing in the theaters? What massive 2019 tentpole film? One just like, oh, mark the calendars, that's one to target. Which one are you gonna skip? And we're going to start with player number 2, Lon Harris. Which one are you going to skip?
So, I mean, we're already in a time where we've got so many superhero films coming out every year. It's relentless. It never stops. I think a lot of people are starting to get a little bit more selective about which ones you see in the theater. Not even going to ignore it entirely. They're all part of shared universes, but then maybe you don't need to rush out and see. And so I think one that is going to play as kind of more of a superhero B-side in 2019 is Zachary Levi as Shazam. Now, the thing about Shazam is it could be fun. It seems like they're going with kind of a comic, funny, amusing take on the character, but it's probably not going to be like a 3-hour IMAX Aquaman style epic that you feel like I have to see this on the largest screen possible. This is a movie that'll it'll be fun when it pops up on Netflix or like the DC Universe streaming channel. You can maybe wait for it to come on HBO and you'll still be able to appreciate it. It's Zach Levi. It's like the sitcom version of a superhero movie, ideal for enjoying in the comfort of your own home.
Lon's personal choice of a movie to skip is Shazam. DC haters, hit him up. Cameron.
Whew. Get ready, everybody, in the comments, because I'm going to tell you right now to skip Star Wars Episode 9!
Wow.
That's right. If you want to sleep at night and keep your Twitter feed clean as a whistle, don't even bother seeing this one in the theater or having an opinion on it. What happened to Ray? Who cares? You won't know if you just missed this one. Did anybody come back from the dead? Who can say? You missed it entirely. Live a happier life by just not even engaging. But beyond that, let's be honest, beyond the social media aspect, beyond your own personal happiness, why skip Star Wars Episode 9? Because I think we've seen since the new trilogy has begun, Star Wars is kind of limited. Unlike the Marvel movies where you can see new villains, new worlds, Thor is not like Captain America. Every one of the spin-off movies on top of the original trilogy, on the top of the new trilogy, you're seeing the same thing. This is Dark Side, it's the same music, all the motifs, it's the same thing over and over and over again. We already know at this point Luke's coming back, pretty sure he's coming back as a ghost. I think you can pretty much map out how this movie's gonna go. It's capping off a trilogy, and I believe Daisy Ridley even said she wouldn't go on past 9, so I think we have a pretty good idea what's gonna happen. You can skip this one and have a happier life.
All right. It's the end of a trilogy. Why not skip it?
It worked for The Godfather.
Oh, true story. Save that for the argument. All right, Cameron with Star Wars Episode 9. JTE, what do you got?
The only thing
it's
worse
Avengers.
than a huge property being taken control is when you've already seen it done well, and someone promises you know what, we're going to do this again, but we're going to make it better. We're going to make it more edgy, more violent. Maybe it's more closer to the source material. And then that trailer hits, and they lied to me, Hal. I'm talking about Hellboy. That's right. They rebooted Hellboy.
Can we see your sticker for proof? All right.
First of all, I saw this trailer. This thing broke like 2 days ago when we were filming this. And I literally was sitting there, I was thinking, what, is this a sequel to Del Toro's actual trilogy, but without the imagination, without the set design, without the creature effects? What am I watching here? David Harbour looks like he literally is just playing the same exact role that Ron Perlman did. Ron Perlman was one of the things that made that movie so great. And Del Toro's, obviously, production design. So when I see this trailer, and I just see laziness. And for me, these two movies, I mean, Shazam is something new. The trilogy... Star Wars Episode 9 is ending a trilogy. There's no reason for you to see this Hellboy movie. I find it hard to imagine that Neil Marshall, who's a good TV director, is going to outclass a Best Picture winning director with Del Toro. So for me, Hellboy is easily skippable. At best, wait for Netflix.
Fight it out, y'all.
The Descent! Neil Marshall directed
Neil
The
Marshall's
Descent!
a really good director. What? Dog Soldiers is a great werewolf
if
movie.
this-
You're like, DQ'd.
No. If this trailer looked like a horror movie, I would be excited. It looks like they took Neil Marshall and they said, we want you to do what you do best, but never mind, just make another Hellboy movie.
I'm going to do something I don't often do in movies. I'm going to agree with you. I think it's a disappointing trailer. But everything we've heard that they're saying about the movie does hint that they are taking it in this different direction, and they made a trailer that'll maybe appeal to pre-standing Hellboy fans. So I don't think we can judge it too harshly. Nothing else I've seen about this movie, other than the fact that the trailer was kind of jokey, seems bad. And some of the sequences, like when they were in hell and he's got the sort of horns, like that looks cool. That looks like the old school Hellboy comics.
Yeah, give me an 80s metal album cover as a movie.
He's got
directed
that,
by the guy who made The
He's got that like badass scar. Like it does look more like the darker sort of gothic Hellboy
And
comic.
I'll agree with you to the point where there are some cool images, but nothing that didn't already show up in these previous two movies.
Right, but
I
the
don't
other
see
two movies
anything
are
different.
They're good though. Like the
They're
Del Toro
great.
Hellboy
I
movies
like
are great.
Del Toro. I thought 2 was better than the first one. Now, if this was a third Del Toro Hellboy movie, I'd be psyched.
But if this one is
not
keeping
what
in
I'm
the
getting.
tradition of the other two, if it's a lot like the other two, it'll be fun to see in the theater because it'll be like the other two. If it's wildly going on a different path, it'll also be
Also,
interesting.
you got
to see.
Ian McShane.
But
Yeah.
why reboot it if you're just going to do the same thing? If you're going to do something different,
Well,
with
that's a
reboot,
good
do
question
it.
for the studio heads. That doesn't mean it's going to affect my enjoyment
But
when I see it
I'll
in a
say
theater.
This, Shazam is a character we've never seen on screen before. I'm excited for that.
There's a reason.
And
Because his
speaking-
powers, you've seen them all before. He's
But-
basically like a pastiche character.
But what really drew me into that trailer was the comedy, the big-esque kind of like vibe it had going, and that is something the DCEU needs. It needs some lighthearted,
I mean,
fun comedy.
Aquaman is super jokey and
Dude,
funny. Wonder Woman has lots of humor in it. We've seen comedy superhero stuff
Yes.
a lot. Venom was just trying to do
When I
comedy
think DCEU,
superhero.
I think hilarious. I mean, Aquaman's
Aquaman-
a fun eye candy extravaganza.
Yeah, it's goofy.
But most of those jokes in that movie do not land.
I think
even when I was in the
Shazam,
theater.
Shazam has a way of becoming like, I think, a real good sleeper hit. I think the simple pitch of big with a superhero, it can be a lot of fun, and it looks like that trailer has completely nailed it. I think you got a cast. So far, the writing looks like it's, judging by the trailer, pretty pitch perfect. It's funny it's funny and sweet without being cloying.
It's a little saccharine. I mean,
It's
you can definitely
it's
see how
about a 7-year-old kid becoming a superhero.
you can see
it
how
should be.
over 2 hours it could wear on.
Do we know the runtime?
I don't know the runtime. You can see how over 3 hours
Runtime
and 42 minutes, but it's a DC movie. It's a DC movie, so you're definitely there for 150
Well, it's made
minutes.
by a
There's
horror
your
movie.
rules.
There's a fact for Max to check.
Yeah, there you
on
go.
runtime.
Well, it's a horror movie director who, at this point, I think has mostly made movies that kind of range between 90 to about 110 minutes. Like the guy who made Lights Out, this is his first movie. He's getting that next shot. And what I appreciate is the fact is that they're doing the thing that many people at this table have argued about, is like seeing somebody do a small movie with Lights Out, do a second, little bit bigger, but little small movie with Annabelle 2, and now getting the big picture. That's not even that big. This isn't a $200 million crazy movie.
Yeah, it's like a sort of that's what I was saying.
And
This is
I
kind of a
appreciate that.
middle
That's
ground.
exciting to see.
They're trying something out. That's great. It would be perfect to watch when it hits Showtime anytime. Now, what I want to say about Episode 9, I think your point about Episode 9, like remove yourself from the fray by avoiding it. You're still in the internet. You're just now you don't know what everybody's talking about. You're just left out. The other thing is, I think all of the movies that we've talked about have rabid, intense, troll-like, hateful, awful fans. That's not limited to just Star Wars. Certainly, there are some DC. Other comic books, like all comic books have this problem. This is a universal issue. Just avoiding Star Wars isn't going to really help you out. And you can't defend the movie. You can't fight for truth and justice if you haven't seen the movie. The world needs to hear your opinion.
I think at the end of the day, it's also the fact that JJ is coming back. These two other films are question marks in a fun way, an exciting, different way. I love JJ, but the man has not made a good third act ever.
Mission Impossible.
Are you waiting for us to get this
I mean, here's the thing. We need JJ.
Well, he didn't. Like a lot of the endings you're probably blaming him for aren't like he was a producer on it, but he didn't write the lost ending.
No, I'm not talking about the TV shows. I'm talking about the movies he's made. Super 8 becomes E.T. all of a sudden out of nowhere.
Yeah, Mission Impossible 3 ends like
Philip Seymour Hoffman gets hit
first Star Trek.
First Star Trek is a great.
Yeah.
Ooh, first Star Trek has like a big MacGuffin where it's like this red liquid that's out of nowhere. And I know it's Star Trek, it's sci-fi, it's all this craziness, but
it's very much in line with the Star Trek story.
Star Trek is pretty sciencey. I think JJ, God love the man. I think he loves making first two acts, third acts are big question marks. I think the fact that I think the fact that he is so devoted to the series and so loving, and he's also kind of hinted a little bit, like, not that he's going to retract anything from The Last Jedi, but kind of saying like, oh, don't worry, everybody, kind of makes me think like we're going to get a fun, safe film. There's nothing wrong with a fun, safe film.
So would you say it's sort of a tantalizing question mark?
No.
I don't know.
All right, let's move to our final thoughts. Start with Lon.
So look, the thing is, all of these movies are kind of unknowns. They're not out yet. We're still sort of waiting to hear more. But the two of them definitely fall into, sort of we kind of get where this is sort of going already. I think Hellboy is kind of the big question mark. If you want to sort of not know what you're getting into, I feel like we don't know if it's going to be this darker, more interesting, more gritty version, or the lighter, more Del Toro-friendly, more cartoony version. My argument there would be, it doesn't matter. Both of those modes sound fun and interesting. I think anybody who digs Hellboy would want to see either of those, and definitely it's going to be big, it's going to be visual, it's going to be a feast for the eyes. You want to see it on a big screen. Now, as for Star Wars, we also kind of know what that's going to be. The epic conclusion to the story that has captivated audiences around the world for the past several years. Like, even people who didn't like the last movie want to know and see how it ends. There's no way you're going to want to skip that one in the theater. Shazam, it's you sort of know what you're going to get. It's going to be kind of funny. It's going to be sort of family appropriate. It's going to be Zachary Levi being goofy, kind of like the sitcom world combined with the superhero world. It sounds fun, but it also sounds like exactly the sort of thing that you want to watch on like a lazy Thursday night in your apartment.
All right. Thank you, Lon. Cameron.
So I think to me, these two films right here, the fact of the matter is this is something that I think movie fans have been kind of screaming for. Maybe not these exact movies, but mid-tier, budgeted genre films made by fun, interesting genre directors. Neil Marshall, and you have the director's name I cannot recall at the moment.
David F. Sandberg.
Thank you, David F. Sandberg. And that's the thing where you want to see those chances. You want to see those question marks. And I would like to give my money to those two films to be able to say to studios, yes, I want more fun, mid-tier genre pictures. You're saying this is the epic conclusion to the trilogy. The fact of the matter is it's the epic conclusion to this trilogy, yes. And then there's the David Benioff trilogy and the new Rian Johnson trilogy that's coming and this other film and this other film. The fact that at this point, I think the only thing that's been called off is the Boba Fett movie, whereas everything else I think is still a go. This isn't even like the closing chapter on anything Star Wars, whereas if we don't see Shazam, that's it. Shazam's over. Hellboy, it's very possible, much like the first Hellboy, if this Hellboy works, maybe this Hellboy 2 is better. I would much rather give to these and just see what happens at the end of the day with Star Wars on HBO.
See what happens.
All right, Lon's going to watch on Showtime. Cameron's going to watch on HBO. JT, where are you going to watch yours?
Max Go.
for me, Star Wars, we need that third Star Wars, especially because JJ's doing it. So many people were just, they loved that Force Awakens, and then Rian Johnson came in and he pushed some buttons. He made some changes. He took some big swings. And I think JJ needs to come back and be like, guys, I'm going to make it okay. The online Star Wars fans are like in a civil war right now for Last Jedi. We need this third film to just heal everybody. I think that's what JJ is going. He's going in. He's like, I'm going to make the most charismatic, dangerous movie I can make just to please everybody. I think it's going to be a good movie, and it's at the end of a trilogy. I got to see it. Shazam. Now, Hellboy has had 2 movies, and the reason I was really excited for this Hellboy was because it was a new character that was coming to the big screen. I don't want to take that away and miss Shazam. It's somebody that's been in DC Comics. There's fans that have been reading that thing for way longer than Hellboy. And also, the fact, again, I just think the DCU needs that comedy. And Zachary Levi looks like he could be a breakout star. He could be like the DCU's Chris Pratt. He could bring that humor and charm, but with some really cool action. So for me, Shazam is like the most excited I am for any DC movie right now that's in the pipeline. So absolutely got to see Shazam. Hellboy, again, it's just the same thing. And I just feel like the odds, if you're in Vegas and what are the odds this movie's going to be better than Del Toro's? It's going to be really low. I just don't think that Neil Marshall he's a good director with certain genres, but I think this movie just feels like when you watch a trailer, it's like, I've been there, I've seen this, there's nothing new. Even the special effects with David Harbour and the makeup don't even look that great. Del Toro, that's something you would never say when you watch a Del Toro movie. He knows how to do all those really cool things. And I don't know, for me, Hellboy, he's a character who I didn't really know until the movies, and I was like, okay, these are interesting, but I'm not clamoring for a new Hellboy movie. It feels like this company had the property, and we're like, oh, people know Hellboy, let's make another one and see if they come out. Let's make it just like the others, so maybe they'll come out even more. So for me, Hellboy is just kind of like a cash grab.
Boom! That is round 2. Max, what do we got?
All right. So the Shazam is a 14-year-old boy.
Okay.
Not a 7 or whatever someone said.
A 3-year-old boy.
In terms of the runtime, they started screening it yesterday, and it's still not over. So I don't know.
Aquaman-esque.
It's not released yet, so we don't know how long it is. JJ has hinted recently at retconning some of Rey's lineage, so we'll remain to be seen. Other than that, pretty clean
Rey
round.
is Snoke's dad. That's what I heard.
I'm actually really excited for episode 9.
Max, go ahead and...
It's unfair for them to put that in the
all right, Max, go ahead and give us your opinion.
This is a really tough round. I heard a lot of strong arguments all the way around. I have to say that I feel like the only way that I can sort of rationalize it is to give a little weight to the pick, and I feel like Cameron got the hardest one in my opinion, and then gave what I thought was a great argument, which was live a happier life by not engaging. After the emotional roller coaster of episode 8, I feel like they related to that, and I have to go with Star Wars.
All right, that's 1-0 for Cameron. Yeah, I feel like Cameron, he sure did pull a biggie out of the hat there. I feel like he got hit with like the J.J. Abrams thing. I didn't, the third act, the lack of third acts working in his films it didn't really speak to me as much as JJ coming in to kind of heal the rift in the Force right now. That spoke a little bit more to me. And then, Shazam is kind of an exciting new flavor. To me, I think JT hit it, and like Lon even saying that he was disappointed by the trailer and the fact that the Del Toro movies are beloved. So it might have been the easiest layup of the bunch.
It was the easiest choice.
But yeah, JTE got the alley-oop, and I thought he threw it down. I'm going JTE. Danielle.
Yeah, I agree. Also, everyone argued this fantastically. I think I got to go with Max on this one. I'm going to go with just it is such a hard, difficult thing, and he found a way to make an argument for something that I know that he's so psyched about seeing that I know that isn't. But he found a way to make an argument and to make a passionate argument that works out of being given such a difficult choice. So I've got to go ahead and give it to Cam.
Cam, you get the point. Bam. After 2 rounds, Cameron won, Lon won, JTE looking to get on the board.
This episode is going to be a DC movie length.
Yeah, right? Okay. Then let's jump into question number 3. Everybody's excited for the movie Escape Room.
Opening this week.
Yes, in January.
Because this is January right now.
And you know those early January releases are real juicy. So, Escape Room opens this weekend. What movie would inspire the most intense escape room experience? What movie would inspire the most intense escape room experience? Question number 3. We'll start with player 3, Cameron.
Oh boy, so this is about an escape room is about using your intelligence, making sure you have the right people, you're working with the right people, and you're able to get out of there. Some escape rooms are timed out, usually about an hour. So my escape room, I had to think about what is the worst place you would want to possibly be. So the movie I went with is Monty Python's The Meaning of Life, specifically the Mr. Crusoe restaurant scene. And so what happens in this escape room is you enter the escape room into the restaurant as Mr. Crusoe starts eating, and you have an hour before he explodes and gets his vomit and guts all over your body. Now, if we want to go beyond this one scene, there's also the other scenes in the movie, such as the stork just dropping babies all over the place. There's the crazy animated Terry Gilliam sequences. If there was ever an escape room based on a movie that would be a nightmarish hellland, it's Monty Python's The Meaning of Life.
All right. Cameron with Monty Python's Meaning of Life. JT.
This was a difficult question because I wanted to go for the obvious, like Seven or some of these horror movies. I mean, Saw is basically an escape room franchise.
Sure.
But I really wanted to cue on the word intense. And I started thinking, what are some of the most intense scenes or situations in a movie that kind of resemble the escape room? And I started thinking of The Master, the Paul Thomas Anderson film, where there's literally scenes. Some of the most intense scenes in the past couple of years, in my opinion, are when Philip Seymour Hoffman is in a room with Joaquin Phoenix, giving him tests, and as a viewer, you have no idea what the hell he's trying to get. Even as I watch, you see the scene where he's just running from one side of the room to the other, and you're just like, what the hell's going on? If I was trapped in a room with a Philip Seymour Hoffman type character yelling at me to do these different trials and tribulations, and I had no idea what the hell was going on, I would get mad. My partners would get mad. It would just get me really intense and really frustrating. So for me, The Master would make the most intense escape room.
Have you ever stolen something from someone you loved?
Yes.
Oh, you're trying to throw him off. Yeah, you're trying to throw him off his game log.
You gotta touch the window and the wall.
What is your choice?
So I went a little bit of a different way. I feel like these are both very, like, they're great choices, but they're very conventional escape rooms. That's what an escape room is. Like, you're locked in, you've got to, you sort of got to figure out a few puzzles or whatever. Sure. I went a little bit of a different way with it. Okay. I feel like the most terrifying thing from filmdom in 2018 would be preparing to make the movie Mission Impossible Fallout. Nobody else is willing to make movies other than this than Tom Cruise, and it's only because he thinks he's a real-world superhero and can't get hurt. If Tom Cruise was rational and realized he could fall off of this helicopter, there's no way he would do it. So I think that's what the escape room for Mission Impossible Fallout has to capture is you're solving these puzzles in scenarios that are insane, and you shouldn't be doing them. You should get down from there immediately. So the first puzzle, you have to strap yourself up to the top of the ceiling on a 25-foot high ceiling.
I thought you were talking about the making of it. I'm like, are you taking a meeting?
No. The movie. It's based on the movie, not the studio system.
Understood.
Another time you're trying to solve puzzles while the room is slowly filling up with water. Inspired by this movie, but also doing things that are clearly dangerous, inadvisable in an escape room, and like, don't do that in an escape room. It's dangerous. That's the way you could really simulate Mission Impossible Fallout.
All right, slug it out, guys.
Too big. You're too big.
Very big.
You just look at the trailer for the escape room movie, and you're seeing that there's the places in the snow, and there's fire, and all these other stuff. That's not that. It's the Fallout one. The Fallout one. It's too vague. I need specificity.
Yeah. Okay, so you got like one thing that looks like the top of a building here, and one thing that looks like the top of a building here. There's no way a person could jump between them. You have to jump between them. Just do it. I won't be able to make that. What are you, not Tom Cruise?
Does it take place in the Matrix? Where is this room?
It's a room. It's a room with two platforms. Where are you going to find a room that has two platforms? You could do it in this room. Just set those chairs up across with that sofa.
To me, these both sound kind of fun. Yours sounds like Double Dare. Like, it'd be a really fun game. We'll put on like some ponchos. Like, oh man, this thing's going to explode on us anytime. It's going to be disgusting. It's going to be so much fun. Yours, if Mission Impossible had like a building in Hollywood Boulevard and said, we're doing an escape room to promote Mission Impossible, I'd be like, that's going to be awesome.
I mean, intense doesn't mean not fun. Like when you go snowboarding and you're like, it was so intense, it doesn't mean you hated it.
You asked those Double Dare contestants, it was intense for them.
Just as intense,
Going
it
through
doesn't
that
mean
big old
horrible.
I'm
nose.
just saying, I would go to either of those. If
Yeah,
I'm
well,
walking
that
down
wasn't part of the. That wasn't. The question isn't what movie would inspire an escape room you'd never go to.
Yes.
It's what movie would inspire the most intense escape room.
I understand, but like, how can you do Mission Impossible stuff in a room?
Because, Tom Cruise trained to do the Halo jump in one of those simulated where you just hover over the thing for
Those
forever.
are intense. I could go Universal Studio City Walk and they had those things where you could jump in and just go in a tube and like float around.
Yeah, but I'm
Well, to be
saying,
fair, you could go to Universal City Walk right now and have someone slap you in the face.
yeah, I can tell you to go touch the window in the wall right now.
I'm just saying, I don't want to walk into a Scientology building and be like, do some test on me. Let me see how this goes.
I said the reason that Tom Cruise can make those movies is because he believes he's a superhero, not that this would have anything to do with Scientology.
Well, mine has to do with Scientology.
Yeah, I
The
know.
Master is based on that.
Yours is basically
I-
trying to get us into Scientology.
I feel like you go into The Master and you have an actor who's dressed just like Philip Seymour Hoffman with the same intensity, and the fact that all you're trying to do is the biggest part for me when I go to escape room is the teamwork. It's working with other people to solve stuff. Like Mission Impossible thing, like
Yeah, there's no teams in Mission Impossible,
No,
you're
but
right.
in your thing, like, what am I going to watch
no,
you
wait, it's all
climb
about a
something?
team.
Like, how is the team
Everybody has.
dynamic going to work?
It seems pretty honest. Everybody's got different assignments, just like the Mission Impossible team. Everybody's got their little part of the mission, and I'm just saying that they're all deadly and appear very dangerous, and it seems unsafe, and that's the intensity. Is that this is dangerous? A normal person wouldn't do this, but as Tom Cruise, I can't be hurt. Okay, I will try your
get hurt. He broke his
escape
I
room.
don't want to go to an escape room with the potential of going to the hospital with a torn ACL
That's what
or
makes it so
something.
friggin' intense,
well,
man.
Again, I want it could be intense, but it still has to be something where I'm not going to fear for my life.
But you just said it sounded too fun, and now you're saying you'd be too afraid to do it.
I thought you said if I saw an actual promotion for
I
an
said
escape room.
appears. It's not actually
Oh,
going
it
to hurt
appears.
people.
Okay.
We make it
Well,
look like it's unsafe so that the challenge of doing
I see
it
what you're
is
saying.
scary.
I just-
My room will have a
doesn't
real
seem that
person
intense.
eating so much food until they die.
I mean,
you have to.
Here, I had a question about yours. First of all, yours sounds funny. Like everybody loves that movie. Monty Python's hilarious.
I could go to Hometown Buffet and see what
funny
you're
and
talking
intense are kind of not. It's hard to
They
like
can
when you're in a really intense experience. You're not also like, oh, this is hilarious.
Yeah,
Like,
you
don't
are. People
usually
laugh.
go.
People laugh when they're in intense situations.
Yeah, but they do that nervous laughter, not like ha ha ha, Monty Python.
Yeah, but
you
if you're-
wacky cut ups.
Yes, but you are not
Every
watching.
sperm
You're not,
is sacred.
You are not watching a screen. In my survival room.
Well, I had a question for you.
Yes.
Are we doing realistic vomit smells? And
Oh,
if
yeah.
so, how?
Oh, yeah.
Well, so how is anybody working? Like, how are your employees not vomiting all the time?
You give
Like,
them, you give them little
Who wants
nose
to
plugs.
work in a
You
room
give
that
them
has
little nose
realistic
plugs.
vomit smell? all day?
There's a documentary out there. There are these horror Halloween rooms where people will do vomit things and grab you. And I'm not saying it's okay, but people go to it. People will pay money to go do these things.
I don't know if that sounds intense or just awful. I don't know if I'd be like, oh my god, it stinks of vomit here. This is so intense.
It could be both.
I feel like it'd be like, I want to go anywhere but this room because it stinks.
Also, the question is not about the most appealing. escape room.
But intense is different from just vile, I think. This is what I'm getting at.
When I think of escape room, I just think of teamwork, going in and working with something, solving problems with your intelligence, and not just walking around doing stunts or worried about something being really disgusting. I want to work with a group of people and try to solve things. And if I was doing a thing from the master, and each thing is like, I don't know where this is all going to. I don't know what the conclusion is.
Well,
and I have
because
somebody yelling at me doing things that are ridiculous.
This is
I'll
kind
be
of the
fighting
problem.
with my people.
It's kind of the problem with your whole setup. Is like,
Okay.
yeah, the techniques that he's using in the master, they do only work over a long period of time. Like it takes weeks or even months to break down someone's personality by yelling at them. So if you're going into an escape room for an hour, it's just someone yelling at you. It's not going to have the same impact of Philip Seymour Hoffman in the master because they had a relationship already. That's why it's so powerful.
All right, let's change it up. Final thoughts. Cameron, start us off.
People love Monty Python.
I do love Monty Python.
People love escape rooms. They're becoming the new biggest thing. I think at the end of the day, you combine two things that people love. And it's debatably one of Monty Python's most famous sketches. Not the most, but up there. It's definitely up there. So how do you combine the comedy of Monty Python and an escape room? You do the meaning of life, the Mr. Crusoe scene, and it's the hour, people walking in, they're given food, and you and your team have to try to get out of this restaurant. There's a countdown clock where eventually this man will explode. It's intensity, it's funny, it's the Monty Python escape room.
Thank you, Cameron. That's a good little commercial for the Monty Python Escape Room. Back around to JT.
Yeah, again, I have to go back to the fact that I've been to some escape rooms, and it's just a bunch of your friends getting together, trying to solve puzzles, and trying to do things with your intelligence. And I think having the setting of the master, you literally have to have escape rooms I went to, they look like they're in the office. You could literally be in Philip Seymour Hoffman's office. He's there telling you to do things, he's giving you little puzzles, and you're sitting there, you're like, what the hell does this mean? And he's yelling at you. So while you're trying to do these things, you're trying to talk to your friends and your partners, this guy's like, "Gah!" I mean, just Philip Seymour Hoffman yelling is the best. I don't think anyone yelled better than Philip Seymour Hoffman in a movie. And I feel like that being drilled into your brain for an hour while you're trying to solve all these different puzzles to get out of the room so you can leave the cult/church or whatever he's trying to get you to be into would be really fun and interesting. Every time I walk down Hollywood Boulevard and there's some kind of cool promotion, like I said, I would totally go to Mission Impossible 1. That one sounds fun. It's disgusting. Every time I walk by a Church of Scientology, I run. And they're yelling at me, come on in, try a test, come do something. I run because I'm like, I don't want to get into that because it's too damn intense. Get me out of here.
So you and your friends are going to go voluntarily.
Yeah, because we know it's not the real Scientology.
Thank you, JT. Lon.
I'd just like to say before I begin, I would really love to see you walking down Hollywood Boulevard, see Scientology, and just take off.
It's called the Death Museum or something like that.
Yeah, there is a museum.
Yeah.
Museum of Psychiatry is the Scientology. Anyway, here's I think what it comes down to. The Master is a very intense movie, but because of the performances and the filmmaking, if you try to recreate it in some room with some guy who's making $15 an hour, I don't know if you're going to capture the same intensity that the great P.T. Anderson captures in that film. Monty Python and Meaning of Life, hilarious, fun movie, not intense. I don't think I've ever watched a Monty Python sketch film and been like, oh my God, this is so intense. I need to keep watching. Mission Impossible Fallout, arguably the most intense movie of the year. Just think of that music playing while you're trying to solve a puzzle. It's intensity incarnate, and I'm saying that this escape room would be as terrifying as we could make it. What's more intense than having to solve a puzzle while you're very afraid? Not to mention that at the end, you're going to be asked to uncomfortably choose between your current crush and your ex. Who wants to be in a scenario like that when an escape room ends? That sounds horrible, but also intense. You also never know who the people around you, are they your real friends? Are they in a lifelike mask? You don't know. It's the Mission Impossible escape room.
All right, 3 very different escape rooms.
Id I go with my ex and current crush, or were they brought in?
No, they were brought in.
Wow. The plot thickens.
Wow.
Max, where are we factually?
Were you talking about McCamey Manor as the haunted house thing?
No, Cameron.
Oh, yeah, I think so. There's a documentary. I think the documentary might be called Hell House or something.
Oh, there
like
is.
that.
I've seen. There is a documentary called House about like super intense haunted house.
There is, I was looking at those, and they're really, really intense. They're like allowed to touch you and stuff. So
is that like real vomit?
That's a real thing.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, that's horrible.
I would never do that.
I would say that the Dead Parrot sketch is the most famous
For sure.
Monty Python
Probably,
sketch,
yeah.
according to Google. Other than that, all of that was a bunch of weird nonsense.
Great. Danielle, start us off.
Okay, again another round full of fantastic arguments. I will say with as much as I love Cameron's idea, I feel like he took it away when they were arguing the intensity, and he said, "Yeah, but you'll also be laughing," and it's like, but like. The thing about laughter is tension and release. If you release the tension, then it's no longer intense.
Good point.
And then, not that to fight this fight, I guess I'm fighting it now.
Comedy fights.
And speaking of comedy, I like, your idea, JTE, was great until you mentioned you'll be talking with your friends while someone's yelling at you. That's just going to a bar and a comedy show pops up. So I don't know how
You're bringing your own life experiences into this.
I mean, we only know what we know.
That sounds slightly more irritating than intense, the idea of you trying to do things with your friends while some dude yells in your ear. And so, just the thought of trying to leap off of things and float off things while solving puzzles and a romantic triangle, that does sound pretty intense, although I will let my exes die. Will let them die.
All right, that's one for Lon, who is bringing that mask-making technology into
the
real
real
life.
world.
Max.
Wolf Blitzer shows up.
If it didn't exist, how could they put it in the movies, Hal?
Fair point.
I feel like valiant arguments all around. I'm actually gonna go despite there's strong arguments all around. I think Lon made some really strong cases. There's definitely those physical things that are really intense. But I feel like JTE, where the fact that you don't even know what the point is, so you can't get out. That seems like the most intense, where you don't even understand the question. So I'm gonna go JTE on this one.
Much like my exes.
Okay, so that's one for Lon, one for JT. Yeah, you guys each presented something interesting. Yeah, Cameron, I thought your choice was strong because tick, 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 tick as he's getting bigger and bigger. But then I think Danielle brought up a good point. The laughter does diffuse the intensity a little bit. And JT, yours was inspired by the movie, but also your dislike of Scientology. I feel like you could have just made yours the Scientology escape, and it only became that because we ventured onto Hollywood Boulevard.
They never call it Scientology in the message.
You were you weren't even talking about Joaquin Phoenix and those who were out there after a while. You were just like, imagine this, and it was only walking down Hollywood Boulevard. And then Lon had a great ding on you. It's like, a $15 an hour character is not going to deliver the same level of intensity as the great actor of the 2000s, Philip Seymour Hoffman. So
I believe there's some good cheap actors out there that can get close.
I mean, you know what? There's a lot of non-working actors out there who
I believe in you people.
Who
you
can
guys
deliver
are great.
a monologue. Yes, keep going for the dream, but. At the end of the day, that leaves. Even though it was a little murky, just as far as like how you would physically make this occur. There was enough there that delivered the highest degree of intensity. Lon gets the point.
How would you physically irradiate a glacier such that it poisons a third of the world? You couldn't. That couldn't really happen.
I mean, I feel like the only limits are our imagination.
Exactly.
So, JTE, great effort.
Thank you.
Man, I love some of your answers, but you will be on the sidelines going into the speed round, my good man.
Oh boy.
All right, so it is Lon with 2 points, Cameron with 1 point, and it's time for that speed round. All right, so the speed round works thusly. I will ask the question, shout out your answers. The first answer that I hear, that individual will get to elaborate on their answer first, and you'll get 20 seconds, and then 10-second rebuttal, 10-second rebuttal. First player to 4 points takes the day, and it's 2-1 Lon going into question 1 of the speed round. Y'all ready for this?
Mm-hmm. Let's do it.
Question 1. What will be the worst movie of 2019?
Angry Birds 2.
I'm going to go with Cats.
Oh, is that next year? Damn.
Okay.
That's bad.
We heard Angry Birds 2 first. Lon has Cats. Cameron, whenever you're ready.
Angry Birds 1 was already 10 years behind the trend of Angry Birds being a big deal. It's a terrible movie and people even forgot it was coming out, but apparently did well enough, I guess, to get a sequel. So if you're getting a sequel to a 10-year-old trend old movie that no one even wanted, does it really exist? I guess it does, and that makes it even worse than bad, is if it's just there, like a nothingness in the wind, in the CGI verse of terrible movies.
Cats is coming to us from Tom Hooper, the director of the horrible, failed Les Mis adaptation that no one likes. And now he's taking arguably an even more challenging play to adapt a play that doesn't even really have a plot. It's just a bunch of characters, cats coming out and introducing themselves to the audience. And now we're going to watch several hours of this, and it stars people like Rebel Wilson. I heard you.
You just sold me an amazing sounding, weird, crazy film from a weird, crazy director, and as we see with Aquaman, it sounds like that's going to make a lot of money and make many people very happy. Weird is great. Angry Birds 2 is just going to be there, nothingness, boring.
I mean, you're arguing that Angry Birds 2 is a movie sort of out of time, which I agree with, but that doesn't mean it's going to be bad. It just means that it's kind of not hitting the culturally relevant moment. But there's lots of movies, like the Lego Ninjago movie wasn't culturally relevant, but it's still fun.
All right. Woo, how about it? Let's go to Max.
I'm not looking forward to seeing either of these movies. I think I got a couple more things from Lon, just the description of what the movie might be like, and then also just the track record of the director. I think I'm going with Lon.
Boom, that is one for Lon. I actually felt the flip on this one. I thought Cameron laid out just why the first one didn't work and why the second one is going to be just more of that thing that he didn't want and more of that. So because of that, I'm going Cameron. Danielle.
Yeah, I have to agree. I feel like Cameron laid out why Angry Birds 2 is going to be boring, and then why, you did... Lon, you did a great job of making that movie sound weird, and Cameron agreed with you, and I would much rather watch a weird movie where Rebel Wilson introduces herself as a cat than watch my phone app come to life for the second time.
Just where you and I differ.
Yeah, I agree. It was the weird versus like the dead on arrival, and like I'll between those two choices go to the weird. Cameron, you get that point. We are all tied up. It's a great moment in sports.
You kind of sold me on cats. I kind of want to see cats.
No interest in it.
Enter at your own peril, everybody. I know in movie fights sometimes like, that sounds weird. Weird is fun. And then you go to a theater and you're like, oh, weird's not usually.
But who's playing Rum Tum Tugger?
I don't know. Oh, I do. It's Jason Derulo.
Wow.
It's true. That's true. I'm not making that up. You sold me. Now is he going to start his song by going, Rum Tum Tugger? Or does he just go in? That's the question.
I'm in. I'm all in now.
Oh, boy.
Opening night. AMC listing.
All right.
Jennifer Hudson as Grisabella.
Oh, it just, you keep going down and you're like, wait, Judi Dench? Also true.
Deuteronomy.
Judi Dench is in this movie.
Idris Elba.
Idris Elba is in this movie.
Okay.
McCavity. He's McCavity.
Are they CGIing or they're going to put him in cat makeup?
what?
Who knows, my friend?
I might go see that, but I'm not going to see any slingshotted birds. Okay. Gotta kill those pigs.
There's a lot of movies that came out the year of the first Angry Birds that were worse than that.
All right, I'm looking forward to the Emoji Movie Part 2. Okay. We got our first look at Will Smith as the genie from the upcoming Aladdin. That happened this week as of filming. Remember that, you guys, in 2019?
Yeah.
Okay, so we saw Will Smith as the genie in Aladdin. Which franchise would be most improved by Will Smith rapping the plot of the movie over the end credits?
Wow. Franchise?
Or movie? Which franchise or movie?
Okay.
I'm going to open it up. Judgment call here.
I'm gonna go Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Okay, yes, Tinker Tailor. Gary Oldman's Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
I like that one.
Cam.
Avatar.
All right. Avatar.
Put you in the blue
James Cameron's 3D epic versus the Gary Oldman spy thriller. We heard you first, Lon.
Here's the thing. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy is great. It's a very stylish movie. It's got a lot of good performances. It's very complicated. It's so complicated. And I think that keeps a lot of people at an arm's length. They haven't gotten into the movie to enjoy the things that are great about it because they don't quite understand everything that's going on. Enter Will Smith with a perfect, easy to understand rap that sums up all the action that you just saw so that the next time you watch the movie, you're caught up.
People talk about James Cameron's Avatar, and one of the things they bring up is that it's not memorable. And the fact of the matter is that sometimes James Cameron's best movies had memorable soundtracks. You had Guns N' Roses and Terminator 2. You had Celine Dion and Titanic. The thing that Avatar was truly missing was a bitchin' song, and I think we all know Will Smith in the 90s knew how to make some great songs. I think the one thing Avatar needed was a great theme song done by Big Willie Style himself, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
I mean, what we learned in the 90s is even when the songs are popular, they don't necessarily confer popularity onto the films. Like Wild Wild West being the prime example of a song everybody remembers, a movie that nobody saw. So I don't know. I don't know if that really holds. Also, think about how many great rhymes. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
The name of the song would be I See You. It would be all about Jake Sully. The fact of the matter is, beyond the great title, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, I don't know what he would rap about. The movie itself is complicated. He needs to rap about the plot. That's how Will Smith works. Avatar, simple plot.
You know what? I gotta go with Lon on this one. There are several words to rhyme with there.
Tinker, tailor, soldier, spy.
And it was a complicated plot. And you were pitching a theme song. We were talking about wrapping the plot of the movie over the end credits. So, Lon's got it for me. Danielle?
Yep, got to agree. Specifically, like that, as much as you did have a great point with those great James Cameron soundtracks, but if it's about wrapping the plot, Lord knows, a lot of us could use some help with
I should Tinker Tailor 3 times, and I'd still like to hear the Tom Hardy stuff.
Put the subtitles on it.
Yeah, it could be like it'd be like Informer, where it's just like telling the story of what's happening.
Informa. Okay, Lon, you get that point. It is 3-2. What movie would you have wanted to see Big Willie rap over?
You know, I don't know. I'm trying to think now. Maybe Pirates of the Caribbean.
Thank you, JT.
Okay.
All right.
I'm gonna say, in all honesty, the fact that he never did one for any of the Bad Boys soundtracks is a little surprising.
It is surprising. I feel like Bad Boys for Life. We've got to add that.
Yeah, we shall see. Hopefully that will happen. This is game point right here. Lon, you take this, you take the game. Cameron, you need this to keep her going. What movie character would throw the sickest New Year's Eve party?
Oh, jeez.
What movie character would throw the sickest New Year's Eve party?
Jordan Belfort, The Wolf of Wall Street.
Jordan Belfort, The Wolf of Wall Street.
Thanos.
Wow. Jordan Belfort and Thanos.
I want those guys to throw a party together.
Two beloved people. Like, we heard Jordan Belfort first from Lon.
Jordan Belfort's whole life is organized around partying. The partying is more important to him than the business that he's supposed to be running throughout the movie. He's going to put so much time and effort and money. He's going to spend everything he has because the point is to show off. He wants to show you how much wealth he has, show you how impressive he is. So he's going to make this party totally sick to impress everybody who shows up. That's the whole point. He's giving speeches. There's like crazy people doing stunts.
The whole entire point of that movie is that he's nonstop partying. You see the downfall, it gets sad. He's gonna throw a party, it's way too long. Thanos is gonna throw a party, he's gonna change where you're at. He's gonna take you to different times. You got a friend who's not there, whoop, now they're there all of a sudden. You need to get high, you're not high enough, whoop, now you're suddenly the stonest you've ever been in your life. That party's gonna be sick. Jordan Belfort's gonna talk your ear off. At the very worst, Thanos might just be a little grumpy.
Jordan Belfort's downfall comes after months and months of partying. He's not having his downfall on New Year's Eve while I'm at the party. I get to enjoy the high part, and I don't have to be there for the tipping downhill in the 80s destruction of everything. So that's great. I didn't get to the end. That's okay.
Make sure you don't bring anybody with you that you care about. Chances are Jordan Belfort's going to talk their ear off and he's going to be terrible to them. If you bring a girlfriend, he's going to try and do something terrible. She's not going to want any of that. Thanos, at the very worst, might just tell you about his life philosophy.
Can I don't bring anybody to your party with Thanos.
Hey, no counter.
Yeah. Okay, time. Wow. I wouldn't go to either of these guys' parties. Max, let's start with you.
All right, so when Lon picked Jordan, I was like, oh, that's the great answer. He's definitely going to get this. And then Thanos. Come on, with all those rings?
Half of the guests are dead at the end of the party, man.
Look, if he's throwing the party, he wants you to be there if you're invited. I gotta go Thanos all day, every day. That's the best party, hands down.
Max going Thanos. Danielle.
Oh, this is so difficult. I wish this didn't come down to me. Bless you. It's as much as I really do appreciate that you don't want to bring a loved one to Jordan Belfort. I do think he's going to be that dude that talks shit your off and is going to be super annoying and maybe slightly inappropriate. I did have to agree that I thought that Lon had a great comeback with that by saying, oh, I don't have to be there when things get bad. I can leave anytime and leave him to his sad, bad life. And so because of that, I've got to go with Lon.
Yeah, once the lewds come out, that's when I'm all right, guys, this will be great.
All right, so it's 1-1. You know what? Here's the thing. All I know about your dude, Cameron, is that he killed half of all MFers. I've never seen him party. I don't even know if he's capable of partying.
The question wasn't about real partiers. It was about who would throw the sickest
who
party.
would throw the sickest party? I don't even know if he's capable. This is all hypothetical. This dude knows how to party. He is socially and morally reprehensible. But if there's one thing that he could do, it's party. Lon gets that point. Lon takes the day.
We're taking movie fights into the stratosphere!
Jordan Belfort.
Well
Jordan
done.
Belfort.
Lon, well fought all day long. Even if you did go a little too far down the rabbit hole of that anti-aging stuff.
I didn't come from me. I didn't bring it up at all.
Oh, it's true.
It was not my movie.
He brought it up. Lon, well played, good
Thank
sir.
you.
And a hoot hoot to you. Please give us shout outs, etc.
Well, follow me on Twitter at LONS. Check out movie fights every week here on Screen Junkies. I also write a bunch of our videos, so watch stuff on Screen Junkies and have a great new year, everybody. Which it already is.
I will second that. Follow Lon on Twitter, always tweeting a lot of funny stuff. I really enjoy your feed, good sir. Cameron, I enjoyed you today. You took it to the limit, and
A lot of bizarre choices.
Yes, a lot of bizarre choices. Good to know that you will be staying at home when Star Wars Episode 9 comes out.
I'm going to hold you to that. That wasn't a choice. That was thrust.
I'm not going to hold you to that.
Please tell us where we can find you and anything you got coming up.
You can find me on twitter.com/Jurassic Alien and also over at Hyper RPG. I have a show over there that I do on Tuesday nights. And also go check out my photography Instagram. It's Cam Rice Photos. I've taken photos of Dalton, JT's dog.
You did.
Oh,
You're
adorable.
awesome.
JTE, I'm
So good to be back.
I'm sad I didn't get to see you in the speed round, but
It's
I'm
okay.
happy that I did not see you tear anyone's neck open.
This was great. It's been a while since I've been on movie fights. I feel a little rusty, but I just love doing this show. I love talking movies and arguing. This is what me and Lon usually do. We usually agree most of the time, but we have some good arguments. Follow me on YouTube and Twitter, JTE Movie Thinks. Follow my dog, Dalton the Bulldog. This guy did some really great photos. Great photographer. Hire him if you can.
Yeah, and I'll second this guy. Always cranking out some really fun movie reviews. I always enjoy your thoughts and opinions. Thanks, JT. Max, thanks for holding it down on the factualities. Woo!
No problem. You can find me on Twitter at MaxDion. Sometimes I'll tweet my opinions on things. Sometimes I won't tweet for weeks at a time.
Is that a Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom shirt you're wearing?
So here's the thing. I weirdly was wearing like a Christmas themed shirt today in 2019.
Oh, you realize, right? That why would
I thought that was like inappropriate because it was like, why would you wear? So Christmas is over. So
Right.
I changed it to this promotional Jurassic World shirt
for
that I had in
your
my desk.
favorite movie, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Nicely done. Max's favorite of all Jurassic
Yeah, I got
Park
this. I
or
paid
World.
for this because I love it so much.
It's
it
number
wasn't
one.
given
The
to
original
me
Jurassic
for
Park number
free.
2.
Yes. Danielle Radford, man, she is just killing it in the new year, on fire. Tell people where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Danielle Radford, on Instagram at Danielle_Radford. You can find me at my Patreon where we do really fun chat-alongs. I'm trying to set up some fun stuff for that we'll be doing in the new year.
Oh, hell yeah. And you can find me at Hal Rudnick on Instagram and Twitter. This is Percival the Owl. Hashtag Owl Nation. Hashtag Percival the Owl. Hoot, hoot. Yes, come to my Instagram and Twitter for all things movie, TV, owl, and just lots of just stupid nonsense. And I want to thank you for watching today. Appreciate it. I hope you're having a great new year so far. Or maybe your year is already terrible. So wait till...
Nice. Out the gate.
Yeah, you know what? If it's 3 days in and you're like, oh, screw it, I'll see you in 2020 then. And thank you so much. Thanks to Billy holding it down in the booth today and doing double duty as our esteemed producer. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.